Margaret Kuhlman of Soul Astrology. About a week ago, or less, Mercury was opposite Neptune and trining Pluto. We were contemplating great changes that were probably lurking underneath, but we contemplated them. And then, just a day before this new moon, Mercury moved into Libra and will be trining Mars in the next couple of days. So whatever came to the surface by way of transformation is very liable to be put into action. I think it's beautiful that Mercury should be in Libra for this to happen, and that Mars is in Gemini, Mercury's sign. There's still a lot to be said, discussion about the proposed changes. And this new moon, early in Virgo, indicates that we will actually be considering quite a lot of detail around the plan. Perhaps we're finding that it is easier to talk about things than actually do them. And now Mars is in Gemini, it will stay there, retrograding for a while in the middle of its turn, and still there by next March. As Mercury rules Gemini, and will be continuing to move around the zodiac during that time, there will be many stages of discussion to happen. But it's as though the communicating about things, actually sharing our thoughts, is most important. So perhaps this new moon, this coming month, is about the considerations that rise up when a transformative move is actually contemplated. Mars will be sextiling Jupiter very shortly, Jupiter being in Aries still, although retrograde. So it looks very much as though it's the personal need to communicate that is being encouraged here, to actually say what we think, what we feel. And meanwhile, Venus continues through Leo, where she's been for a couple of weeks, trining Chiron exactly at the new moon, and dispositing Mercury, who's in Libra, Venus's sign. So the actual communications are likely to be around loving situations or situations of beauty, making the world a happier place. And trining Chiron in Aries, speaking out, perhaps sharing our pains, Venus, our relating, our loving relationships, those people we care for. And in Leo, lots of fun, lots of self-expression, friendly, kindly, might be a bit much for some, but particularly sharing our previous lack of confidence, or those things that have troubled us, and being open to the healing that that brings. It's very, very much an aspect of healing through love. And yet, Venus is opposing Saturn, so the needs of society rise up in importance, and there is perhaps a dichotomy between the personal loving in relationships that we have and the love that we need to feel for humanity as a whole in order for the whole collective to rise to the next level of human development. There is a difficulty, on the one hand, finding people special in our lives personally, and on the other hand, knowing that everyone is special, including our own self, different but equally deserving of love and care and respect. Both Venus and Saturn are square to Uranus on the North Node, as though what is called for is actually allowing space, standing back from habits in order to come forward regrouped, realigned differently. giving space to the people we love, so that we can all update ourselves and get into the present with ourselves, and then re-meet with the changes in place. When we remain in the same situation throughout changing times, we can get stuck, held into an assumed position, the habits running our behaviour, so that our own development can be somewhat stunted. So space is necessary for us to work out our inner challenges personally, removing blame or guilt simply by a lack of proximity. As we're all coming from the South Node in Scorpio, there's a lot of deep emotional stuff to be reorganised somehow, to rise and be re-seen differently. The Sun and Moon in Virgo work together with this by encouraging us to be self-contained. So it's a month of great differences in requirements. We're liable to lurch a bit between being very present and there and withdrawing into our own space, being involved with groups and the things that go on around our community, and then retreating to our family unit or our loved one. At the full moon, most of the aspects are the same, but a couple of things do stand out. For a start, the Sun and Moon opposite to each other are both well connected to Uranus. So perhaps by the full moon we are accepting the need for space. We are feeling more self-contained, so that we allow changes to actually happen. The moon is in Pisces, great sensitivity to the needs of the earth, the needs for the changes, maybe not knowing quite what they are, and maybe becoming more and more sensitive to those situations that cannot remain the same, that really have to be changed. It's our awareness of these things that's called for. The actions that require to be taken are very obvious when the time is right. If there is something that you personally need to do, the situation will rise for you personally. But in terms of humanity as a whole, our awareness of the situation is what's called for, and an acceptance that change is essential, and not to block it by trying to recreate the past or find fault with the changes that are happening. The other shift in this chart is Venus having moved into Virgo along with the Sun and quincunxing Jupiter. This is an emphasis on healing those things that have been revealed. There is a personal generosity rising. The Virgo part of that is the carefulness to give what can be spared and not overdo things. And the reason this is so important to allow is that what is given may need to be continuous for a period, so it needs to be sustainable. It seems to me that this month is not a time for great changes to be implemented, but for the discussion about new ways, different solutions, the discussion to get going. Gemini, where Mars will be for these next few months, is like a breath of fresh air in the world of thought and communication. Mars energizes it, so we will have times ahead of great argument, in all probability. But what's important is to have and allow many viewpoints. Everything must be heard. We're not going to understand how to change or move forwards if we don't know what is possible. Also, it is a time when we need to resist fear and anxiety for the future. With the whole human race being required to change its expression, it's not really up to individuals to make it so for other people. All we can do is make it so for ourselves, to move as best we can, to develop and grow, to let go of past hooks that keep us back, and keep open minds and open hearts, to be responsible for our own self and not try to be responsible for others. So the turbulence continues. The staircase we're climbing, this is one more step along the way, but we have nowhere reached the top yet. Treasure your friendships. Enjoy nature. Be kind to yourself. Love that which is. All else is illusion, a story. Love accepts, receives, listens. Love does not approve. That would be judgment. Love does not improve. That would require rejection of what is. Love does not interfere. Expresses kindness and respect. Love hums a little, touches gently, is there. Be there with everyone, everything, and you will experience truth, joy, and peace.